Hello. Hello.
Hi, Casey.
Hi, Karen. I'm so happy to have you. Oh, this music just got loud in my ears. I'm going to wait just like a minute or so to see if anyone wants to hop on, and then we'll just get started.
Okay.
I know we talked about this a little bit, but the weather is literally perfect. I'm
I
loving this so much.
Yeah. Yep.
Are you a football fan?
Uh, Sometimes.
Yeah.
Depends on if my favorite team is in the playoffs.
Who's your favorite team?
I'm a Patriots girl.
I figured that much. My teams never make it that far, but I do think it would be great if they did.
Yeah.
I would enjoy it more.
I think I liked it a lot more when Tom Brady was in it,
Oh
but
yeah. I love
occasionally.
Tom Brady.
Who doesn't?
Oh, he's awesome. Well, I'm going to just go ahead and get started. We can just get right into it. I'm so excited to have you, and thank you so much for being willing to share your expertise. Anyone that's watching, we're here with Karen O'Donnell. She is, of course, a valued NNBA member, but also the founder of Caring Nurses Staffing Agency and ImperfectEFT. So if you came to the conference, you got a chance to know her, and she taught you some really great techniques to calm yourself. We're so excited to have her here. She's going to help us talk about designing a business that works for your life, and that's something that we have a lot of questions about from members. So and she's also going to share a little bit more about her online course that she's going to offer about how to start a staffing agency. So you're definitely going to want to hear that. I am going to just start out by just naming a couple things that are going on with the NNBA, just updates, and then we'll get going, if that's good with you.
Awesome.
Some exciting things. We are finalizing our website upgrades. So that is something we are really looking forward to deploying our new website. We're also starting a members only monthly email list, like a newsletter. So I'm really excited. That's going to have a lot more value in it than our bi-monthly newsletter. It's going to be targeted a lot more towards the people that are obviously members, and how we can add value to their membership. We also are selling our conference t-shirts at a discounted rate on the website. So if anyone didn't get one at the conference, or it's so cute, Karen's wearing one right now. So cute. I couldn't decide. It was cold this morning, and then it was hot this afternoon. So I'm like just trying to stay.
It's super cute. I don't know if everybody saw it, but it says "This nurse means business."
So cute. On the back, you are such a good model. I love it. It's so cute. Yeah. We've had a lot of people asking. We've even had people asking for more, just saying that they really like the fabric and they like the fit and they want more. So we decided to put them up on the website. So definitely grab yours if you're wanting one.
Nice.
We have another week after this one of this series. Last week, I was very sick, and there was just no way I was going to be able to host. I sounded like I had no voice.
Oh, no.
So we're going to reschedule with Bina, but we do have Nina next week. So make sure you tune in, and I hope you get a lot of value. So that's really all that I have for the NNBA right now. Nina is actually, speaking of Nina, she's in Arizona right now. She got a chance to go to the resort that we're having the conference at next year. And she said it's so nice. And it's definitely a different vibe than the casino, which is a lot of people wanted that. So we're excited about that. And she said it's like a 4 seasons. So we cannot wait. Yeah. So excited.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, Karen, enough of me jabbering on. Tell us about you. Introduce yourself to our viewers.
Oh my gosh. Hello, everybody. So my name is Karen O'Donnell. I am from New Hampshire, and I've been a nurse since, I won't say the year, but for many, many years, over 30 years. And I first started my career on like a med-surg unit, oncology. And then I went into the emergency room, which was an amazing opportunity. And I still work bedside ER when I want to. But I always had the entrepreneurial drive to create my own company and to do my own thing, to have the flexibility and the control to be able to not hit the glass ceiling and just create the business that I want with my own desire, and the sky is the limit. So I found out how to start a staffing agency, and at that time in 2012, it was really not a lot of information out there. It was incredibly difficult, and as a nurse and not being a business person, very intimidating. I was like, I don't know if I can do this, and I basically treated it like triage. I started finding out the right questions to ask, the resources to have, and I kind of did baby steps from there. And at that point, I was just like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to jump in and I'm going to really pursue my passion. So I started out part time, doing it as a side hustle and just literally figuring out along the way what to do, and still working full time. And then within a couple of years, I was able to quit my full time job and do this full time and still do bedside nursing as well as manage my company. So it really was the best of both worlds for me, because I like to stay busy. I like, the ability to grow and expand my knowledge base, and I was able to do that. So that was in 2012, and since then, there have been some ups and downs. Thank you, COVID, for that. That have created a lot of other opportunities for my company. And, certainly good and bad. I've always wanted to stay a small company. I don't want to be a big corporation that just has number over quality. So, that has been my focus. And it has been the best thing for me, because I literally treat my company as if it was like me going to the bedside. I take care of my team, I take care of my facilities, and I really create that bond with a nurse first perspective. And that's one of the things that I have on my website, is that we are a nurse first company. Not that we only handle nurses, but I come at this company as a nurse. And that's unique in this space, because every other agency out there is business run and, business person oriented, all about the profit, not about the people. So it's a unique perspective, more of like boots on the ground type management. And I think that as nurses, we just do that naturally. We take care of people and we take care of our companies like that. And that's where a lot of nurse entrepreneurs have survived and been able to thrive, because they take their clinical skills and they just, run with it with whatever passion they have. So, that has been kind of my journey, and it's been incredibly rewarding. And I basically decide when I want to work, and if I don't want to work, I'll just continue managing and sourcing for contracts and for new staff. So it works out well.
Oh, I love that. That's such a good story. And it's also so great. I love that you said that when a nurse is like the backbone or the bones of the company, it makes a huge difference, because any nurse, that especially anyone that's done travel nursing, it's just people calling you that have never, they're salespeople, essentially, the recruiters. They've never worked in a clinical setting, and their bosses have never worked in a clinical setting, and the owner of the company never has. So
Right.
sometimes you really just don't know what you're getting into. So I think that would make a huge difference. I agree.
It's true.
So,
And from the other side as well, the facilities, they know that when we place people there, it's not going to be just an inexperienced body that's going to fill a hole. And I've had, in my younger nursing career, I had two very traumatizing experiences as an agency nurse. And, I got thrown into a nursing home with like no experience at that facility. And it was like two of the most devastating, memories of my nursing career. And I took that experience and I really kind of made a 180-degree difference in the way that I decided to manage my company. So if somebody is going to be going to a facility, they're going to need an orientation. They're going to be there consistently. They're not just going to be thrown into a new facility. And, I think that is also kind of unique to some of the agencies that are just like, oh, you're a nurse, you can go here, and it's
Yeah.
fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
No, it's not fine.
Yeah, I definitely think that's really really great. And like I said, anyone that has ever done a nursing contract knows. And if you talk to anyone that has, they say, "Oh, well, I was a traveler, so I didn't get trained." And it's like that's not how it should be.
Not okay.
Yeah, it's not okay. It's really dangerous for you as a nurse and your license. It's really dangerous for the patients. It's dangerous for the whole facility.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. And I love to hear your perspective on that and how you kind of took that experience and made it your own, goal to improve that. Um, so you said you were working as a nurse in the ER full time, and then you started kind of part time building your business. So, like, what did you do? What systems or tools did you have in place to stay consistent in building your business without burning out? Like, did you set certain boundaries? Did you say like just tell me a little bit more about building your business and how you did that.
Yeah, I tried at the very beginning to just kind of separate my full-time job from this, side hustle I was doing. So,
Mhm.
in an ER, you don't have a lot of time to be able to just, research things and do
Yeah.
stuff. So I was able to really separate it. And I started off with, just the basic how to start a company, how to get the resources that you need. So literally on my days off, I would just, start to do the research and to figure it out. I did actually have a book that was like how to start a staffing agency, but looking back at it, it really didn't give me any specifics. It was just like, check with this agency, check with that agency, because if you're writing a book for anybody in the United States or the world, you can't be specific, right?
Right.
So it was like, okay, I had this book, and now I just started kind of delving a little bit more into the research of, at that time we didn't have just Google to say, how do I start a staffing
Yeah.
agency?
Chat
So
GPT.
it was, yeah, right. So it was literally just kind of small steps. I would go to like the Small Business Administration, get some resources there. So those were some tools that I would use in terms of just what was out there for just basic running a company. And being not a business person and not having an MBA, I was like, well, I'm really good at nursing, but I'm not good at business yet. But is that going to be a deterrent for me? And I said to myself, I'm going to figure it out. So thinking back at that time, and now what I know, there's absolutely no reason why somebody needs to have an MBA to start a company and to run a company. So that's the most important thing that I want the whole audience to know, is that you don't need to have a degree in business to be able to run a company. And to have that limited belief in your head, it's a very common thing, because you were probably told, no, you can't do that, you need a business degree. No, absolutely not the case. You have skills in your nursing career, and you have the network and support of your colleagues and peers that know exactly what you're wanting to do, and they will help you along the way. So, the systems that you put in place for how you are to, learn the information is really critical, but it's not it's an individual thing. It's not like something that you need to be part of a big system. But if you find that you need specific resources, then just start researching and figuring it out. Um, but yeah, I think I didn't specifically have a system or tool in place. I just kind of made it up as I went along.
Yeah. Yeah. Trial and error kind of.
Yeah.
So when you were building your business, was there ever a time that you had to like pause or pivot or like restructure your business? What did that look like as someone who didn't have any business experience trying to build that business?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. And my answer is yes, I've definitely had to shift, I've had to pivot, and that is normal in business, right? Nothing stays the same. the market is always changing. Your resources are always going to change. Your competitors are always going to change. There are going to be new competitors tomorrow that weren't there yesterday. So to know that there are things that you can do to change, that's very natural, and you're not going to be stagnant. For me, it was COVID, and we started our contracting at the very beginning, just doing like part-time per diem contracts on a local level. And when the staffing world changed with COVID, a lot of opportunities for the full-time 13-week travel assignment happened in my local communities. And they were really happy to have the local resources instead of people coming from other parts of the country. And that was the shift that absolutely needed to happen. And it did. So we were able to really expand our contracting and our ability to help the local facilities that we already were helping with, stronger full-time contracts. And then, after COVID, the hospitals are like, budget conscious. Now they're coming back down, wanting their own staffing. So that was another shift, and that is still happening. So, everything is, and, I had that term once in my career at the very beginning of career. When I graduated, there were so many nurses with experience that you couldn't get a job in a hospital. And they're like, oh, don't worry, every 7 years it's cyclical and, it'll come back around. And I was like, well, that's great. That's 7 years, but I need a job now.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with the staffing world, that, now it's kind of come full circle, and, COVID was big for staffing, and now it's come back down again. But there's always going to be a need for travelers and, outside resources for hospitals. So the staffing world is really a good business to be in, because you can, grow as big as you want, or you can stay as small as you want. It's really how you want to structure your company. And, to know that there are going to be those changes and ebbs and flows, that's just natural with business. And I've definitely learned that. Yeah.
That's really good advice. And I think something that you kind of pointed out that a lot of people don't realize is like the local contracts. I've done this like throughout Tennessee, where I like had to drive like an hour, 2 hours, and it was like on a per diem basis, going to different urgent cares. And it's like, people think, I don't want to travel and have to go find somewhere to live and have to be gone for 13 weeks. Like, reach out to local, travel agencies and do some research, and you can find some really high paying contracts that you can still be in your own bed at night. So yeah, I think that's a little bit of a confusing thing to some people. Yeah. So now that you're much more established and you are now running multiple businesses, how do you structure your time to, because obviously you wanted freedom. You said that you love that you can pick up a shift if you feel like doing it or not. So how do you structure your time so that your businesses support your lifestyle, so that you are not constantly grinding and it's like all for nothing, kind of, you don't have the freedom?
Yeah. I will say that at the very beginning, it was hard to separate my home life from my business, because I was doing it from home. I had an office in the home, and, it was like, okay, I've got laundry to do, but I have this to do. And it was a struggle at first. And because, you just kind of are doing it as you go. You want to keep your costs down. You don't want to, have to rent an office or anything like that. So there can be that struggle that people go through if you're just doing it out of your home. But to kind of set timers is one of the things that I tried to do. And, have like a half hour of just doing housework, and then an hour to really be part of your business. You might be thinking about your business as you're doing your laundry, but, that's okay. Then you get back into that realm of that hour that you are specifically sitting down for your company and, doing what you need to do. So it's a little bit of a discipline. It is not easy to do right away, because you just want to do it all, right? You You know exactly what you want to do. You have a lot of ideas. It's exciting. It seems overwhelming, but to just take small tasks and just, I'm a box checker. So I would have so many lists and so many boxes to check off that I would just try to strategically just say, okay, box number one is my priority. I'm going to do that today, or I'm going to do that over the next 2 days. And to be okay with letting those other boxes stay unchecked for a week. And just to try to have that discipline to really prioritize. And, again, I kind of thought of it as like the ER. Somebody comes in with chest pain, they're going to take priority. What is your priority on your list? Are you going to, create the name of your company now? Are you going to just, go into a little bit of marketing? What are you going to do that day that is going to move you forward with your business? And, just if you can set aside just those small moments that you can take like 30 minutes and just do one thing on your list and just try to stay consistent with that. I think that is probably one of the most valuable things that I did. And if you can get a separate space that you can really concentrate, that's even better. If you could just shut a door so that you aren't being, like bombarded by the kids and the pets and the lawn looking at you. I think it's something that you can try to compartmentalize it as much as possible. But yeah, to try to really save that space in your brain for your company. And again, just thinking about it all the time is okay, but just to like sit down for 30 minutes and just do what you need to do and be okay with letting the rest of the list go.
Are you a time blocker? Do you like the time blocks?
I do try to do time blocking. I'm not great at it, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, I try to do time blocking. And I am at the point where I have an office outside the home. So I can come here and really be able to focus and not have to think, oh, I have laundry. Okay, I have laundry later on when I get home,
Right. Yeah. That makes a huge difference. That was a big reason I came back to Tennessee, because I was working with the NBA and it was really hard to do it from being so far away, and I was also working on the floor. And yeah, so now that I'm here and working full time, I have a separate place to go, like a separate office. And Nina and I are working on the time blocking because it's hard. I'm a box checker as well, so I gotta be able to see this is what I did today.
Yeah, and you can be creative, like new business owners. Just go to Starbucks, go to Panera, and that was my office. For years, I would go to Panera because I'd be like, I just got to get out of the house. I can't focus, and I'd be there for like 2 hours, and I'd just have a cup of coffee and just be able to zone out, even with other people around me, because you're there for a reason. And you get so much more done when you can focus and concentrate. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's all really good advice. I guess I just want to, partially for me, because it sounds like we're a lot alike in that way, and then of course partially for everyone watching, what advice would you give to someone that feels like, okay, yeah, I'm always on, like I'm always on in my business, even when I'm at home, even when I'm with my kids, even when, like it's okay to be on at Starbucks, but I get home and I'm on too. What would you give people? What advice would you give them to help balance that?
So I would say that it's something that I've actually started recently for myself, in that, again, being in a separate space, that is helpful. But it's really hard to shut your brain off and to be able to get in that focused point. And that actually brings me to my second business that I started, ImperfectEFT. So EFT is the emotional freedom technique, and it's a way for your brain to stop the stress response and to be chaotic. So I have really embraced the holistic aspect of myself and my nursing practice. And I'm using EFT, I'm using meditations, and I'm taking that time to shut my brain off so that after I'm out of my 10-minute meditation, I can then focus on my company, or I can focus on the things I need to do at home. So those are some techniques that I have taught people in my nursing career, but I've never actually done it much myself. But recently I have embraced that, and I feel that that is something that would benefit everybody here. And it just is your ability to just stop the stress response, stop all of the chaotic things that are going on, your kids, your dog, your family, your relationships, and it just shuts it off so that all of a sudden now I can look at my list and figure out what I need to do. So it's all of the balls that you have in the air, those balls are like completely, they're still gonna be in the air, but you're gonna be able to just focus on one thing at a time instead of all of them at once. So it's mindfulness, it's meditation, it's really shutting off that response of feeling like everything is crashing down on you and that you can't do it. So that is something that I have been practicing myself, and I really have changed how I look at things, how I look at life, how I look at the things I need to do. And, the unimportant things that I was focused on before, I don't have to worry about them anymore. It's just kind of a crazy mindset that you can actually like be calm and live your life in a great way because you're doing what you want to do. You're a nurse or you're a business owner, and this is what you've created. So why not be happy with it and not stressed about it? And
Yeah.
it's an amazingly freeing feeling to be able to do what you want to do and to, not be sucked into the turmoil of life.
Yeah. I feel so empowered. This is like a TED talk. That's so awesome. Well, Jay, Journeys with Jay said that they're great tips, and she finds herself working in bed. Is that
Wow.
bad? Is that bad?
It is bad because then that creeps into your sleep, right? That I'm sure creates nightmares. Like I am constantly dreaming about things that happen in the day. So like if you have your laptop in bed with you, then I'm sure that your sleep quality is unbelievably disrupted. So setting boundaries in terms of that. I'm going to challenge you, Jay, to just set your timer to 10 minutes before going to bed, and whatever hasn't been done for the day, just shut your computer and just take those 10 minutes, put your computer in a different room. Don't even like try to like listen for any emails that are coming in. Just like literally lie there for 10 minutes, let all of your thoughts happen, and just like still your body, still your mind as much as you can, and then you can get into sleep. But try to just take those 10 minutes, and that isn't a lot. Everybody has 10 minutes before bed. So I challenge you to do that, Jay, and I would love it if you would share if you are able to do it. Just try it for one day and then try it for 2 days. And I'm sure that your sleep quality will be a lot better.
Yeah, that is great advice. Also, I think just having some kind of routine at night. The older I get, the more I realize like a routine is really important. Yeah. Like before I go to bed, I used to have my laptop in bed or scroll on my phone. And now I'm like, okay, 30 minutes before bed, I'm going to read. I'm going to have chamomile tea. I'm going to, just sit and think. But anytime that I'm on my phone before bed or working before bed, I have a harder time falling asleep. I a lot of times wake up through the night. I wake up thinking about what I fell asleep thinking about. And yeah, it just creates like unnecessary stress. So,
and like, absolutely, unless you have like, kids that you're worried about with emergencies, put your phone in another room. You will hear it vibrate, and that will, make you want to check it or whatever. But like, if you can literally, it's sacred space. You need to take care of yourself, or you won't be able to take care of the rest of your family or your patients. So, like literally you got to take care of yourself first. And I love the phrase that I heard recently, that you are the only person that you will know for your whole life. So if you think about that, it's like you're it, not your spouse, your kids. You had your own self before your kids. your parents. Like, we need to take care of ourselves, and we suck at it, especially as nurses.
Yes, I don't know why that is.
Yeah, it's so much easier to take care of somebody else than to like think about ourselves. So this is the challenge for everybody, to take care of yourself.
Yeah. So now that you are where you are and you've had such success in your businesses, what is one thing that you do to keep your business aligned with your personal priorities, or what you believe in? You said, I know, like, just tell me a little bit more about what your day-to-day looks like.
Yeah, so I try to be, as relationship based as I can be. And, like, I always want to have as much open communication as possible. I want to support, my team, my facilities, and really keep that as the central thing that I do. Like I said, kind of nurse first type alignment. And, that just naturally is me anyway. So, to try to like force a business model that is not in alignment with who I am. Yeah, I think it's just going to happen naturally for everybody, and to really just be the person that you are, and that will translate into your success in your business, whether or not it's a staffing agency, whether or not it's creating blogs or content, or doing like med spas, or whatever it is that you're going to do in your business. I think you just are naturally going to align with um, whatever you need to do to continue the progress of your business. So if you just kind of take that to heart, that there's a reason why you went into nursing, and there's still a reason why you want to continue to be in nursing on some level, even if it's not the bedside, then just go with your passion, and try to always just be that person, not to be the MBA, not to be the perfect, whatever it is that you're doing, because there's no such thing as perfect. And if somebody tells you that you can't do it, that to me is like, well, I'm going to show you that I can.
Mm-hmm.
So
Challenge accepted.
yeah, I think a lot of nurses have that drive, and we want to help people, but we're smart, we're critical thinkers, we figure things out, we MacGyver everything, and it just is something that we do. So to put that sort of mentality into starting your business and running it on a day-to-day basis is exactly what nurses should do. And I think it's so great to see people that are going to support you, like the NNBA. If you are not a member, I would highly recommend becoming a member. This is an absolutely amazing organization where, people come together, and, you don't necessarily have to have a business, but you have to have a passion. You have to have anything that's going to drive you to move forward. And, so many great ideas and supports, and wonderful networking opportunities, and people are generous with their time and their experience and how to do things. So you will get long lasting friends. You will support each other on social media, and it's a great community to be a part of. So I absolutely would recommend continuing if you're a member, or if you're not a member, become a member and come to our networking events, because you'll learn a lot, definitely.
Well, I may be biased, but I love that. We're definitely trying to. A lot of people want that, networking and collaboration and chances to meet their internet friends or their, mentors in person. So we do try to um, really encourage that, and we're trying to add more events and stuff like that. So we're
Yeah.
very excited to have you and all of your super helpful information, and everything that you've said has been so great. I have a couple more questions if you have just one or two more, if you have a little more time, and then you can
Sure.
talk about. Okay, perfect. So I can kind of put this last one into one question. It's two questions
Okay.
really, but at this point, what does success look like to you? And then the second part of the question would be, what would you say? I try to ask everyone this. What advice would you give to a nurse that was maybe sitting in an ER right now listening to this, not like they would have time, but and is right where you used to be. So what does success look like to you, and what advice would you give a nurse that was in your position when you wanted to start?
Okay, so what does success look like to me? I think, it's easy for people to say success looks like, money and like being able to do whatever you want, having X amount of dollars in your bank. To me, success is being a part of people that are doing exactly what they want to do. And, that typically will also follow suit that they have the financial freedom to do that. But really, the success that I have been feeling with these different networking events, not just myself, but just being able to do what you want to do every single day. So, when I first started, I was working like 12-hour shifts, really exhausting. And I loved doing that, but I still had another need inside me. I was a serial entrepreneur before I even started a caring nurses staffing agency. I Before Uber Eats was a thing, I literally did like grocery shopping for the elderly. And that was a very good idea, terrible business model because, fixed incomes and all of that. But like, I probably tried like 8 or 9 different companies before finally settling on caring nurses. And, I think the reason why it's been successful is because I always knew what to do in nursing. I did different jobs, different units, and every day everything was changing in the ER. But the other companies that I was doing weren't nursing related. So when I settled in on, okay, I'm good at nursing, I've been doing it for a long time. How can I enhance my nursing career with my entrepreneurial drive? So, at that point, it was like I was, trying to pay the bills and, do things on the side. So if I knew then where I'd be now, I would say that I'm successful because our company is still thriving. And, I do have the financial freedom to be able to, create my own, you know, whatever I want to do. I can work at the bedside or I don't have to. I can, help support my colleagues with other secondary jobs and, feel that support from them. So I would say at that point, 13 years ago, I'm successful now. 5 years from now, I don't know what's going to happen, but the success, in my opinion, is really um, being able to decide what you want to do, be passionate about it, and to have the financial freedom and control to be able to make your own decisions and to execute them. If you're part of a big organization and you have 20 board members that you have to answer to, it's not the same feeling, because you're the one that's making the decisions, right or wrong. You will absolutely make wrong decisions and you don't know it at the time, but you have to learn from those mistakes. And that is part of the journey. That is part of the, success of creating a company. Know that there are going to be a lot of stumbling blocks that you will trip over.
Yeah.
Sometimes you studied a little bit.
Mhm.
But to learn from them and to move on from there. So that I think is where I am now, and where I'm headed is, who knows. We're just creating it every single day. We're writing our story. And so today I'm successful. 12 years ago I was successful as an ER nurse, and every single nurse that is working the bedside is 100% successful with what they're doing. They may just not be able to, have the, again, financial freedom to be able to step away from the bedside. So to create your own experience and being able to do that, I think, is the biggest part of that freedom. But, and I forgot what your second question was.
Oh, no, it's fine. We're not similar. I was just trying to put them together so I didn't go way over. I'm just really intrigued, and you just had so much great information. I've been trying to highlight what you've been saying that I think would really resonate with people. But my second question was, what advice would you give a nurse that is in the situation, in the position that you were in when you were like, okay, I'm ready to do my own thing?
Yeah. I would say, just like, first of all, stop and think why you want to do that. Are you burnt out? Are you just, wanting to make extra money? Are you dissatisfied with your working conditions? One of the things that was my aha moment was I was working at a surgery center, and I was kind of at the top of the clinical ladder. And I was at the point where I was like, okay, where am I going to go from here? So I can either go into kind of the management tier, or I could just stay where I was. But I was like, stuck in that ladder. You're on a rung, and you're on a rung forever. And I went for a managerial interview and job, and I didn't get it. And I was like so taken aback. Like, I feel that I'm ready for this, but my colleagues around me didn't feel that way. And I think, looking back at that, I was so mad that I didn't get that.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, looking back at it, it was the best thing that happened to me, because that really drove me harder to be like, well, then this glass ceiling is not going to be it for me.
Right.
And I need to do something else. So that was a very, emotional moment. I can still feel how upset I was at not getting that, but that launched me in a different direction. And that direction is where I am today. So, I am so happy that that happened. And, take whatever it is that you are frustrated with. I'm talking to everybody who is, like at the bedside. What is frustrating you? Is it just the working conditions, your exhaustion, not being able to, like eat in a timely manner, or go to the bathroom, because you have to, because the code's coming in, or whatever? What is your driving factor of wanting to not do what you're doing anymore? And really think about what your why is. I mean, we've heard that before. What is your why? And to really think on it, not just to be like, oh, I'm exhausted. Well, that in and of itself doesn't mean that you should leave the bedside, or, decide to launch something else. So, like, really write it down. What is your why? And, how do you see yourself happier doing something else? So, if you create a staffing agency, if you, start blogging, whatever it is that you're going to do, why will that make you happier? And, absolutely keep those goals and those, pros and cons list with you, so that that can keep you focused. And that will create opportunities that you never even knew that you wanted. Because writing it down is like absolutely the best way to solidify it in your brain. You might be like, you might say things to your colleagues, and, you don't even realize you're saying it. Like, like I just hate working 12-hour shifts. And you think it, but once you actually say it or write it down, then it becomes actual truth. And you're like, oh, did I actually say that? Was that my outside voice? So getting your reasoning why you want to change things is, I think, one of the most important things. And then from there, that's kind of your ground zero, and that will create those opportunities so that you can change that and know what will then make you happy. What's going to make you happy? $1 million. Okay, everybody can say that.
Right.
Being able to work 6 hours a day, working the times that you want to. What are the things that you want versus what you have now? And there's no reason why you can't achieve that. But it is hard. It is hard to really kind of question yourself and what you're doing, and to step outside of yourself. It can just be exhaustion. You've worked
Mm-hmm.
3 12-hour shifts in a row, and you have 4 days off, which is great, but then you're a zombie for those 4 days. So, like, is that one of your whys, that you're just so tired and so burnt out? Are you constantly being yelled at by coworkers, by management? Whatever it is, there's a reason why people are unhappy, and nurses specifically. So, I am not condoning, leaving the bedside, but if you're not happy doing what you're doing, then there's a reason why, and you need to try to work towards what will make you happy.
Right.
And, the entrepreneurial world is a great one, to like launch into. It is difficult. I'm not going to say it isn't, but you know, is it more difficult than a 12-hour shift where you don't even have a chance to go to the bathroom? Nope, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Mentally challenging, to not know things and to have that uncertainty, but you won't have the physical exhaustion. It's different, but it's much more fulfilling to be able um, to create something that wasn't created before.
Right. Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that also, just about not getting the position that you wanted. And I try not to like say super corny things that like are cliche, but I do believe that like rejection is redirection, like
Yeah.
I think a lot of us like my first side hustle that I'm still doing,
Mhm.
I picked up like kind of randomly after I got fired from a job. And I
Mhm.
was like, the one thing I'm good at in life is what I do for work. Like
Yeah.
that is what I'm good at. So
Yeah.
it was like such a hit to your ego. Nina has the same story. You have a similar story. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you really need that. But also just to kind of piggyback off something else you said, figuring out your why. If you're saying, oh, $1 million would make me happy, but I hate working 12-hour shifts. Well, then even if you had $1 million and you're still working bedside, you're still working 12-hour shifts, you're not fixing the problem. So
Yeah.
I think you've really highlighted some amazing points and given some really amazing information. I know definitely for me and for anyone that's gonna watch this, it's really high value. So now I'll give you the floor because I want you to share, your current work, any offers you have, promos, where can people find you, kind of just do your plug. And as you're talking, I'll try to put it on the screen here.
Okay. So I kind of mentioned briefly the second company that I started. So I'll first start with the Caring Nurses Staffing Agency. That is my company that I started in 2012. We currently have contracts in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Georgia, and we are literally staffing different facilities. So our website is www.caringnursessa.com. So it's a little confusing when you get to that second S. It stands for Caring Nurses Staffing Agency. Thank you. And then anybody can reach me by email. I have the caringnursessa@gmail.com. That's the easiest place to get me. So if anybody wants any opportunities, I'm really excited to tell everybody that I just launched an online course on how to own, operate, create your own staffing agency. And, it's kind of a step-by-step guide that I didn't have when I started in 2012. It is totally online. There are a lot of resources. And a second part of that is that if somebody wanted to have one-on-one mentoring with myself, we could absolutely arrange that. And it's just really great to have that support to be able to, go, step by step on how to do it. And I am super excited about that. So if people want to email me and just ask me about that, I will get you into the community so that you can get more information. So the second part is how I actually met you, Casey. So going for the second time to the NNBA conference this past July in Las Vegas, I'm promoting my second company, which is called ImperfectEFT. So EFT is the emotional freedom technique, and it is a secondary business because I'm actually at the point in my career, in my life, that I want to be more preventative in health, and EFT is a way to reduce that stress response. I do presentations on mindfulness, on gratitudes, on meditations, and it's literally one-on-one sessions. I could also do group sessions and corporate sessions as well as presentations. And it's really a great way to just calm your brain down. And so that is called ImperfectEFT, and that website is www.imperfecteft.com. And same thing with the Gmail account, imperfecteft@gmail.com. So the reason why I named that company Imperfect EFT was that you go from feeling imperfect to I'm perfect with just the techniques that we use. And it's really an amazing thing that nobody feels perfect in this world and everybody makes mistakes, but we have limiting beliefs that are stuck in our brains that stop us from moving forward. And especially for nurses that, have the drive for a company, but they're like, I can't do it. My husband says I can't do it. My mother says I can't do it. My kids say I can't do it. Then I can't do it. Well, I want to be the person to say that you can do it, and I'll give you some of the tools that will help to reduce those limiting beliefs and just get that out of your head so that you will succeed. And I would love for both these aspects, the how to start a staffing agency and just, the emotional support, as well as, the cheerleading that I can do for you.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, for anyone that does watch this, Karen did an EFT presentation at our conference and everyone loved it. So definitely look into that. I am so grateful that you were here to give all of this advice. I think it's really high value. I love hearing more of your story, and it's been so nice getting to know you more, not just as a business owner, but as a person. And I can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Casey. I appreciate the opportunity, and I will see you in Arizona next year.
Yay! I can't wait. It's going to be so amazing. All right. Well, everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much again, Karen. And I will be putting all your contact information in a shareable link for this. So hopefully even more people can benefit from our conversation.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Bye.